our main job with the rogue was to not mess it up.
Yeah.
Because it
was very sound.
It is such a beloved, solid class that our main goal with the rogue was to take those really wonderful pieces of design and add some new twists. And so in addition to giving the rogue weapon mastery, as we have several of our other classes, and weapon mastery, as you and I've discussed in another video, gives the rogue and others some really exciting combo options and tactical abilities.
As we discussed, like short sword, with the knife, you're like hitting, gaining advantage on the next attack, lining up your sneak attack, stuff like that.
Glorious.
Yeah.
But in addition to that, the other biggie in the rogue is a brand new feature called Cunning Strike.
Yeah.
This ended up being a hit in the Unearthed Arcana series. And what Cunning Strike really boils down to is it gives the rogue the ability, starting at 5th level, to trade sneak attack damage dice for other effects.
Yeah.
Because we realized the sneak attack bucket of dice, it gets awfully big.
Yes.
And sometimes the rogue doesn't need all of those dice just to deal damage. So the light bulb that went off for us in our design process with the rogue was, well, what if we let the rogue do other things with those dice? Because my goodness, are there a lot of them. And so Cunning Strike was then born. Cunning Strike really is an answer to what if the rogue could do other things with those dice. And so at the start, what the rogue can do is can trade sneak attack dice to do things like poison their target, trip their target, withdraw from melee without provoking opportunity attacks, that sort of thing. Then at higher level, you get even more options, and then you also gain the ability to pile on multiple options to the same sneak attack. And so it is all about giving the rogue ways to do more than just bucket loads of damage, without taking away the ability to do bucket loads of damage. Because sometimes the rogue will still want to just take all their sneak attack dice and apply all of it to damage. But in those cases where it would be more helpful for you to poison the target, knock them down, withdraw, or knock them out harmlessly, because at higher level the rogue also has even the option to just knock them out and not deal enough damage to actually slay them.
Yeah, you don't need to assassinate every NPC you meet.
Exactly. In addition to adding Cunning Strike to the rogue's kit, we've also enhanced other features that were there. We took Reliable Talent and moved it to a lower level. We made it so that Thieves' Cant now gives you an additional language in addition to allowing you to use Thieves' Cant. And we've also, at level 3, added a brand new feature called Steady Aim. This debuted in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. It's now graduated to the core books. And this allows the rogue to be steady and give themselves advantage on their next attack roll. A fact, let's put a pin in that, a fact we will return to when we get to the assassin.
Yes.
And the assassin is especially glad that Steady Aim is now in the book. We also even enhanced Slippery Mind at higher level, which used to just give you proficiency in wisdom saves. It now gives you proficiency in both wisdom and charisma saves. And the reason why that's relevant is it means now rogues will be harder to banish since most spells and other effects that forcefully teleport people away or banish them involve charisma saving throws.
Oh, interesting.
And we wanted rogues to have all around slippery minds and to really lean into the theme that not only are rogues really good at stealth, devastating single strikes with sneak attack, but they're also good at wiggling out of danger.
Yeah.
And a number of the rogue's abilities are all about wiggling out of either physical danger or mental or magical danger. And all of that together really, I think, achieves that goal that we had of take this rogue that's beloved, that's working really well, and just crank up the volume a little bit.
I love having extra things to do with sneak attack. I love turning that into a resource. We've seen that kind of design element with a couple of things in this new player's handbook, but that is something I adore because you always wanted to have the ability to potentially poison a target, right? Or to knock out a target. Even in the video games I grew up playing, like Thief and Dishonored, like that's all very iconic for a rogue to be able to do. So that's super exciting.
Yeah, and again, just as with weapon mastery, it is something that we have loved playing with in our playtest games.
And again, you have weapon mastery to play with too now
Yes.
as a rogue.
A rogue does not have as many masteries to play with as, say, the fighter, but still enough for it to make a difference.
Yeah.
And it gives the rogue some really interesting tactical mini games when, especially once Cunning Strike is in the mix,
Yeah.
to figure out each turn. It's like, okay, what am I going to do with my weapon? What am I going to do with my sneak attack? A lot of fun. Then contributing to the rogue's enhanced profile
Yeah.
are the 4 subclasses. Now, the rogue has its 2 classic subclasses, the assassin and the thief, and those are 2 archetypes in the rogue that go all the way back to 1st edition D&D. And it's all about, really, do you want to emphasize the killing part of the rogue's identity, or do you want to emphasize the infiltrator and treasure hunter side of the rogue's identity?
Right.
With the thief representing infiltration and treasure hunting. And then the other 2 subclasses that are available, just as in the fighter, we have the Eldritch Knight and the Psy Warrior, taking the baseline class and mixing it with stuff outside the class. We have the same thing with the Arcane Trickster and the Soul Knife in the Rogue, where you can take the baseline Rogue and mix it either with spellcasting in the Arcane Trickster or mix it with psionic power in the Soul Knife.
Nice.
Shall we start with the assassin?
Yes,
or-
let's start with the assassin. My first character was an assassin, so I've spent time with this subclass.
So the assassin is long been a very popular archetype, but the 2014 version of the subclass struggled in actual play. Too much of its core identity relied on surprising the other combatants in a battle, and that could be quite challenging to pull off. And since we've changed the surprise rules in the new player's handbook, we didn't want to have anything in the assassin that, of course, relied on that anymore. We wanted to, at the baseline, for the assassin's abilities to be more reliable so that you could feel like your subclass was actually doing something. And so with that in mind, we redesigned the assassinate feature. First off, it gives the assassin advantage on initiative rolls. This, for us, was something we planned on doing for a long time once we revised the assassin, because we felt that the assassin should have a better chance of going first than most other combatants. Because, of course, to do their job of assassination, getting the jump on others is a critical part of that. Now, what we also did is we made it so that the extra damage that they can deal in the first round of combat is no longer reliant on someone being surprised, but instead simply reliant on the other person not having acted yet. So the 2 parts of Assassinate work together. We gave advantage on initiative rolls so that the assassin is more likely to go sooner, and going sooner means they have more potential targets to use their assassinate on, because the requirement to use it is simply that the target has not acted yet in the combat. And we have found that in playtesting, this has achieved the goal of making the assassin actually able to use their core shtick reliably in most battles, unless the D20 is just totally cruel to them.
Right.
We also made a number of other enhancements, simple ones like in Assassin's Tools. We now not only give you the proficiencies that we gave you before, but now we also give you the tools themselves. We were chuckling when we realized that a decade ago we gave you these proficiencies, and then we're like, well, and good luck.
Yeah.
So now you actually get a disguise kit and a poisoner's kit when you reach the level where you get these proficiencies. We've also then, and this goes back to steady aim that we were talking about before, we've completely redesigned infiltration expertise so that it still includes some of the mimicry that the assassin was capable of before, to make it easier for them to socially infiltrate certain places where they might be hunting someone or something down. But we've also now made it so that they can use steady aim on the move. Most rogues, when they use steady aim, can't move for the rest of the turn because they are standing still as they line up an attack. The assassin, who, in the narrative you can often imagine would be in a sticky situation where they might need to be moving John Wick style as they are battling people. We wanted them to be able to line up their shots even while they're running across the room.
Right.
And to me, this is actually one of the most cool things in the Assassin, just from a sort of cinematic standpoint.
Right. Yeah.
Is imagining them doing this. We have also replaced the imposter feature that they used to have and given them a brand new feature called Envenom Weapons, which ties into the new Cunning Strike feature in the baseline rogue, which allows them to deal more damage and ignore poison resistance when they use the poison option of Cunning Strike. We wanted assassins to be the best at using the new poison option that all rogues have access to.
Perfect.
And then finally, Death Strike no longer relies on surprise. Instead, you just have to sneak attack somebody in the first round of combat, and you can potentially have your Death Strike.
So we did Assassin, so...
Arcane Trickster?
Yeah, Arcane Trickster it's perfect. It's always been perfect. This is a hard one to improve upon.
Well, and the Arcane Trickster, because it was so solid and so fun, other than just getting some tweaks to integrate seamlessly into the rest of the player's handbook, really only got a few modifications and one bit of actual redesign. So first, on the front of just some nice enhancements, the Arcane Trickster's spellcasting ability no longer has any School of Magic restrictions.
Perfect.
And like the Eldritch Knight, who can now use an Arcane Focus, the Arcane Trickster can now use an Arcane Focus. And the Arcane Trickster continues to be the awesome spell-wielding rogue who can use Mage Hand for endless shenanigans. And we then allow even more shenanigans with a new version of Versatile Trickster, which we've redesigned to now interact with Cunning Strike in the baseline rogue. And just as the Assassin is now really good at using the poison option in Cunning Strike, the Arcane Trickster is really good at using the trip Cunning Strike, because now when you, as the rogue, trip someone, you can also have your Mage Hand trip somebody else. And so you can imagine everyone's distracted by the rogue doing something, and then over there the Mage Hand is going whoop, and then someone else tumbles down. So you will be able to get up to even more silliness as an Arcane Trickster. I have always loved this subclass for truly delivering what's in its name, being a trickster, because there is so much prankishness in this subclass.
I thieve a lot as Arcane Trickster. It is a very, very fun subclass. Also really great at infiltration at triggering traps without dying. Like is one of those perfect meshes of a rogue, adding magic to a rogue to just get by a little bit better.
And it sounds like a small thing, but in both of the Eldritch Knight and the Arcane Trickster, us removing the School of Magic restrictions in each of them is itself a big change, because it means you will be able to build a mix of abilities that you could never build in the past, because the School of Magic restrictions in the past really kind of hedged you in the type of Arcane Trickster you can build. And now you have way more options.
Perfect.
The other rogue subclass that is mixing in supernatural power with the rogue's baseline abilities is the Soul Knife. For me, one of the things that I enjoy about the Arcane Trickster and the Soul Knife is they're not only siblings to each other as the two rogue subclasses that mix roguishness with supernatural ability, but they are also siblings to the other two subclasses, in that the Arcane Trickster is basically the magical equivalent of the thief, and the Soul Knife is the supernatural equivalent of the assassin.
Yeah.
And the Soul Knife manifests this psychic blade and uses it to terrifyingly attack people and leave no trace.
That's the creepiest bit. Yeah.
And the Soul Knife appeared originally in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. It will feel much the same here, but it has enhanced presentation. It's now been fully integrated into the rule set of the new player's handbook. But we also made a couple of critical functional changes to the use of the Soul Knife itself, because
I'm guessing what these are now.
So, and they're just like in the Arcane Trickster. It goes a long way us lifting the School of Magic restriction in terms of how the subclass will feel. The Soul Knife has two important changes to the psychic blades. One of them is you can now use them on your opportunity attacks.
Yeah.
This is probably the most requested feature for the Soul Knife, is being able to use the psychic blades for opportunity attacks.
Yeah.
And now you can.
Thank you.
The other, you're welcome. The other cool thing that we've done for the psychic blades is we've given them a mastery property. We wanted the Soul Knife to feel like they were still getting to use the fun of the mastery system even when using their psychic blades. And so the psychic blades have the Vex mastery property, which is the property that sets up your next attack to have advantage. Meaning, if the Soul Knife is using their ability to make an attack with their action and then a second one with their bonus action, that bonus action attack can now have advantage thanks to the Vex of their first attack.
Yeah. So you are setting up your sneak attack very well, and you've got this extra weapon mastery.
Yes. So next up, the Thief.
Let's talk about the Thief.
So the Thief has a number of fun enhancements as well as redesigns within it. Our goal here was to just make the Thief even more thiefy. So one of the things that we did is in the Fast Hands feature, we've given the Thief the ability to activate magic items as a bonus action. Previously, Fast Hands did not apply to magic items, and now it does. And so the Thief will be able to take a magic item that requires a magic action for activation and be, thanks to Fast Hands, now activated as a bonus action.
Oh, perfect.
We've also made it so that in second story work, the Thief can now use their dexterity instead of their strength when determining their jump distance, and it now gives them a climb speed. it technically gave them a climb speed before, but did not call it a climb speed.
Oh, okay.
And so now it loops through the regular climb speed rules.
Right.
We've also given you a new cunning strike option in Supreme Sneak at level 9, which now allows you to make an attack while you're hidden and stay hidden.
This is nasty stuff.
And then finally, in Use Magic Device, we've given the thief the ability to attune to up to 4 magic items instead of just the 3 that most characters are limited to. It also gives the thief a chance of using a magic item that has charges in it, of not actually expending any charges when using the item. And we've also provided guidance on how the thief can use spell scrolls that they wouldn't normally be able to use. And so they're really great at kind of cheating a number of the rules in the game.
And that's the rogue.
It is a gloriously stealthy class that is now even trickier than it was before.
The New Player's Handbook is available for pre-order right now on D&D Beyond. You can find that link in the video description. And you can also find the new Core Rulebooks bundle for pre-order, both physical and digital. Thank you so much for watching. We have a ton of video content coming out about the New Player's Handbook and all the new Core Rulebooks, the new Monster Manual, the new Dungeon Master's Guide. So be sure to check out all of that content. And thank you for watching.